there, everybody. My name is Cammie Jones, and I'm the lead programmer at the Arpa International Film Festival. This year, we are celebrating our 25th anniversary of being a film festival in the Los Angeles area. Today, I have the greatest privilege of being able to speak with one of the up-and-coming South Korean directors, Mr. Jayil Park. So I'm so happy to have you be here. This is one of the movies that I really touched my heart when I was viewing it. So I'm so excited to be able to talk with you a little bit more. To me, there seems to be so many different foreshadowings that happen and just beautiful moments within the film. So at some point, I want to hear a little bit more about that. But I would like to start off with you just kind of introducing yourself, the film, and maybe a little bit about the two main characters that play the mother and the father in this wonderful film.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. Yeah, I guess my name is Jayil Park. I'm the writer-director of the short film Georgia. And the short film Georgia is based on actual events that happened in South Korea. I guess people could just type in Myeong, like the city of Myeong in Korea. And I think that's the first thing that pops up in Google, which is sad. It's based on this heinous case of, I guess, trigger warning of sexual violence, and that was perpetrated in a high school. The actual story is actually not just one person, but two, actually three. But I focused on one of the families, and the main characters, the mom and the father, they're actually an amalgamation of several parents that went through this. And I try to do that because I didn't want to pinpoint one case, one case of it that happened. So yeah, I guess that's my introduction.
All right. It's always hard to talk about films when you're not sure that the audience has viewed them yet, because you don't want to give away too much. But can you talk a little bit about the two main characters the actors, and how you found those two actors? Because they were just fantastic in this film.
Yeah. For me, I don't know. You can't find this quote online. Maybe I misremembered something, or maybe I saw it in the behind the scenes for the film Amadeus, but I feel like I'm pretty sure Milos Forman said that filmmaking is 90% casting. And that stuck with me. Like at least I have the right cast. If you have the right cast, you can have really good performances. So I worked on another short film with these two actors, and they played small roles where they were mother and father. And I thought they were so fantastic in that short film. I should make a short film with them as the lead actors. And, but later on, I think it was a couple of years later, when I got the idea for this project, I said, oh my God, they would be so perfect for it. So they were actors I had previously worked with, and I knew that they would I believe that they would do a spectacular job on it. So that's how I ended up working with them.
They were fantastic. And did you start this film during COVID time or before COVID?
We were fortunate enough to right after we finished shooting was when the COVID
shutdown started.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was within a week, everyone in Korea was wearing masks. So yeah, we're fortunate enough to wrap up shooting before COVID began, But I think I edited for about six months after that, 6 months to a year after that, and then started submitting to festivals.
Yeah. So I worked in social justice for the last 37 years. So I know about the case that happened in South Korea.
Wow.
But I also know that there was another part of how the story started for you by you and your producer playing a game together.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think like, you have these like writing games that you do in like high school or college with a professor in creative writing classes. But we my producer and I don't know why, like we just started doing that one night, and with it where you say three words and you come up with a compelling story with an entertaining or interesting story. But that one night, he the words that she said were what were they? Oh, it was tonkatsu, banner, and what was the
Helmet.
third one? Helmet, yes, bicycle helmet. So yeah, those three words, and then I think I just said the story out loud, and besides the ending changing, I think it was exactly the same story. So after I said the story, like the producer, I said we should make like a low budget feature for our next project. But after I told her that story, she's like, no, we should shoot this.
Yeah.
And we're like, when you have like such a good idea, you just want to you want to make it,
Yeah.
But it's not like I came up with that story like people think like because I'm a genius. It's because like where you have these ideas in your head, or you jot them down in your head, and I think that was just an opportunity for that story to come out,
They all kind of merge together.
Yes, yes, and also it's based on a true story, so it's a lot of the inspiration comes from the actual events. So
Yeah. So you were talking to us a little bit earlier that there were a number of hidden things that you put into this film. Can you share some of those with us for both the people who have seen the film? They can go back and watch a little bit more and see if they can find these hidden little messages.
oh yeah, like I guess like like I told you before, like because we try to design the world from the perspective of a graphic designer, because that's what the daughter who passed away, that's what she wanted to be. So we try to design the world with her from her perspective. And like I guess in the first scene, you see on the wall, there's like a post-it note that says the colors. I think it was red, white, blue, black, and yellow. And that's basically the color palette for a film. But that's like the project that she never finished, and it's as if that project is this short film. But like in graphic design, there's like symbolism and semiotics. So there's a lot of that in the film where like everything, like we try to do everything, like everything has to have meaning. Like even like the typo in the first scene in Korean, if you spell that out in English, it says my daughter. So it's even like the typo, even a mistake is not a mistake, I think that kind of philosophy also is important to the story as well, because it's such a very dark and sad story. But I wanted to make the film where I wanted to give purpose to the lives of the main characters and say that, despite everything, that their life has meaning. I think that's why we try to imbue meaning in every aspect of the film.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing it's not a beautiful thing that all of this happened, but it's a beautiful thing for you to focus on the impact of the parents versus just focusing on the events that happened, because the parents and family, they're the ones that are kind of left struggling with the feelings. And in this story, I thought was so amazing that they were trying to have a voice and they kept being kind of shot down with being able to be heard. I was first kind of confused about why the font was coming out in a square. But then I thought, wow, even that's very interesting because it's sort of like a container, and all of their feelings and their need for justice for their daughter is contained and not being
Yeah.
allowed to, open up. Can you explain about the fonts for other people and why that happens? That the Georgia font just doesn't kind of translate into Korean?
Yeah, like I was in college and I had my, because I grew up most of my life in America, and then I had a Korean girlfriend, I think after college, and I was sending her texts in Korean, but all of a sudden they would turn into boxes. I was like, oh wow, like, but most people like that use Photoshop, they were aware of that, where you use a font that doesn't exist in a certain language, it would turn into boxes. So I thought, while writing a script, that would be a good, a good symbol of, the parents' inability to, um, you know, find a voice, uh, and how people don't want to listen to them, So, but at the same time, by the end, I thought it's ironic because even though we don't know what's written in those boxes, we know, like even though by not knowing, we know what that feels now. But
Yeah.
it's like, how could you portray, or how could you voice into words what the parents are going through? There's no words that could express that. So in a way, I think them not being able to express it, uh, it's a more powerful ending at the end. And ironically, we understand them even more. And I like your take with the containers, because like even when you see the one photo of their daughter, she's also contained in a square.
Oh, I'll have to go
So,
back and see that.
yeah. So I think, yeah, the square is like, like it's great when you find a symbol that can mean so many different things, and I think that's what happened with the use of the boxes. Yeah, some people were saying like the boxes are like an empty room, or an
Yeah,
empty
or a
space.
home. Yeah, you just need
Yeah,
the triangle on top.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yes, it's a very deep and emotional film, and I did cry quite a bit during a number of
Thank you.
scenes.
Thank
Um,
you.
but I also thought it was a really sweet love story too, between the
Yeah,
mom and dad. And there were so many just tender moments that just like warmed my heart in
yeah.
their pain, but also in their relationship and how they cared about each other. Was that something that you were trying to go for when making this film, or was it something that came out of the process?
Oh, thank you for talking about that, because like that was when I won my first there's like Oscar qualifying short film competitions. The reason why I won my first Oscar short qualifying film festival, that was what the juries talked about, like that, what they liked about it in Korea, the Korean jury was, whenever you see a film about like like where there's death or there's something very uh, bad that happened, you see the main characters, they're always sad, and like I feel like that's not the case. Like personally, I had like so many people die in my family. Like in the past like 5-6 years, I had like my grandfather, my aunt was like my second mother, my cousin, my role model who I looked up to. Like so many deaths. It's like, but the thing is, even during the funeral, like you would joke around. You can't keep crying. But sometimes in a film, because something really bad happened, the main characters would just continue that on. But I feel like in real life you have to eat, like you don't see it in the films, but even after something bad happens to you, you have to eat, you have to go to work. And so I wanted to show that even the main characters, they're trying to cope with what's happened to them by just living their daily lives. And I feel like they were always like that. They had this cute relationship, and I think they rely on each other even more now because of it's almost like them against the world.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
because they're trying to fight a system that's not allowing them to even be heard or to get the justice, right?
yeah,
Or what
yeah,
happened to their daughter.
yeah.
Which is
So
also kind of a economical kind of situation too, that if maybe if they had more money and they weren't poor and illiterate, maybe they would have gotten more justice.
yeah, yeah. It's it's like yeah, like when it rains, it pours. Like there's like this show that I really like in Korea called Human Theater, and it's like basically it's like a documentary series that tells you these stories of people going struggling in their lives, you know. And each episode, you would think like one person had a death in the family, but on top of that, he lost his job and he's, you know, he's suffering from a disability, and then his daughter is also suffering from disability. Like so many, I'm like, oh my God, like why is it like this? But it's almost like Murphy's Law, where something bad happens to you, and it just that's not one thing; it's so many other things at the same time, you know.
Yeah. And then you wonder how do you keep going with that? You know, each time you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
hit. Yeah. There were also very beautiful moments in the film where you saw them kind of disconnect for a moment.
yeah, yeah,
um, and two of them were my favorite. I'm going to say the one because it's not going to give away the story too much. But the moment when they're outside, I think after they went to do the settlement money,
yeah,
and the bike and the cart where the wife was riding
yeah,
got disconnected.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So I thought you captured how people deal with grief, of that kind of moving together, separating because of the feelings that are coming up that are different for each other, and then coming back together again. You did an excellent job.
Oh,
I
thank
just want
you.
to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's like they separate for the first time there, and then right after that, you would have their first ever individual scenes. Like they would always be together throughout the whole film, but right after that, the father's and the daughter's rooms by himself, and then the mom's, you know, going off to the school. So I think, yeah, because like, yeah, it's I wanted to emphasize like for that moment they become separate, you know, but they do come together at the end again. Uh, I think through their love of their daughter, you know, which they share, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really curious, what kind of films were you interested, or kind of guide you, or got you excited about becoming a filmmaker?
Yeah. I guess there's so many filmmakers I love. It's like music. I mainly like rock, I guess, but in films, like I love like every genre, you know. But in the case of this film, I think I was influenced by maybe David Lynch's Twin Peaks. You know, like I think it was Laura Palmer. Like you don't see her throughout the whole series, and yet you know it's almost like she exists. You know,
Mhm.
so I sort of wanted to do that with a daughter. Like you don't see the daughter, but by the end you get a sense of who she was. You know, like almost a better sense of who she was than what the parents were like. You know, um, so there's that. But when it comes to the film, who else? I guess I there's so many people that that influence me, but I guess like you know putting meaning in color. Like I mean, all the color palette actually has meaning, but I guess that type of director. There's so many directors like that, right? Wes Anderson. Um, I can only think of Wes Anderson right now, but I don't know if his color palette has a particular meaning, but it looks very beautiful. And
And
yeah,
you were saying your color palette was connected to the Korean flag.
yeah, the color palette of the film is the Korean flag and the Georgia state flag that I used. So, like the common colors in both flags are red, white, and blue. But the differences are that the Korean flag has black and the Georgia state flag has yellow. So anything that was negative in the life of Gina, the daughter, I used black. And anything that had to do with her and her dreams. So I portrayed in yellow, but everything else, like the red and blue, like the main parents, you always see them wear red or blue,
Mm.
almost like they're like the yin and yang in the center of the Korean flag. So which reemphasizes how they them together, they have harmony, but
Yeah.
when they're separated,
They don't. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the last picture in the film is the one that I love the best in terms of the
Huh,
separation
yeah,
and the connection, but I'm not going to give it away to anybody. You have to watch the film.
yeah,
The music, the sound
yeah.
design was really also very beautiful. Was that
Oh, thank
somebody
you.
that you have worked with before? Because I know you've done a couple of other short films.
Yeah, I think uh I had a just like music is like so difficult when you're making a short film, because you have to trust in a composer, and also they have to be creative, they have to have their own voice, but at the same time you have to sort of like get that out of them. So what I did was I started the music 6 months before even shooting the film, because that was the one part that I was so worried about. um yeah, so because I also, I really wanted the music to be good. So 6 months before the production, we're making all these songs, and my friend Erica, she's a composer. She's so passionate, and she loved the script so much that we had so many versions of the music, and in some of the scenes, like the ending scene. Uh, like, I'm not exaggerating. We had like 8 or 9 different versions of the music for the ending. And some of them had like strings, some of them had guitar, some of them were like just mood, like completely different versions, not like versions where it's slightly different. There were completely different like 8 songs that we did. And I think because we had made a lot of the music prior to the shooting the film, like while editing, we had more time to work on it and perfect the music. So I'm really happy with the music.
Yeah. Was there something particular about the one that you did pick that just kind of talked to you and said, hey, this is going to be the one that's going to fit for this film and this scene?
Oh, I don't know how to play music. I don't know how to play the piano, but I just to express like what I wanted. There was like this one scene where the daughter comes in, right? Like, and there's like the piano. That actually I composed that somehow. Like, I was with the composer, and because there was like a rehearsal footage of the with the like we shot it like how we would shoot the film later, and I played some notes, and on the piano, and then he was like, oh my god, this is good. So and using that was like the base we used for all the other music that the composer composed.
So you got your voice out there.
Yeah, it's fun because I
I
guess
love
I
it.
composed like one theme, but it was
Yeah.
just like with like one finger. I was like dun dun dun. But then obviously he put some chords in it and
Yeah.
made it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that you have been in a lot of festivals, starting probably with your first film was Hairdresser or
Like the housewife, I
The
think.
Housewife. Yes, The Housewife. And then Pepper,
Yeah, Pepper.
right?
Yeah.
And you've been in so many different festivals recently. And when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned that uh, there's some really exciting things happening for you in the future.
Yeah.
So would you be open to sharing some of that with us?
Yeah. I think like the number one thing that people want to know, like other short filmmakers want to know, is like, if you make a short film, gets into a lot of festivals, like are there opportunities for like, career opportunities? And I would used to be very pessimistic about that, because like even in the film industry, filmmakers always said like there was a time where you made a really good short film, and then a film production company would call you to work on a feature with you, and that those days are long gone. But I would always say that as well, but I can't say that anymore, because after Georgia, which is it's not a easy film to watch, but for some reason, I made this film just to make the film, without any like career goals in mind. But somehow, I think it was like after 6 months later, I started getting phone calls from pretty big film companies in Korea, like legitimate companies, like there were several offers, and like there were offers that I would never have turned down like in the past, but because I was working on something already. Like the offer I took was a Disney Plus series that we're currently shooting, which is scheduled to come out in August, and so that's the one I'm doing now. But uh, uh, there's another deal that I took, from a California film company. Somehow, like an American company wants to make a feature film with me. So right now, we just finished a treatment. We've been, and now the next stage is writing the script, and yeah, and I have a contract with them as well. So, and because of those two things, I couldn't. I turned down some stuff that, it would be crazy to turn down. But I mean, like you said, or yes to those opportunities. So you can't do everything, right?
But
But yeah,
it's
so I'm no longer pessimistic. I'm no longer cynical about making short films, and like
that's good to hear. And that will be, I think, wonderful for our audience and other filmmakers to hear, because there is that thought that why make short films anymore? Just go to a feature film.
yeah,
But short films, I still think, are one of the most special types of films that we can get, because you create a story in such a short amount of time, and to
yeah,
me, that's extremely powerful. So,
yeah. It's weird. Like it turns out I was cynical, and I was the one that was looking at short films negatively. I remember like being in the film production company, and there's like a really famous producer and director, and he's like introducing me to somebody and saying, "Oh, he made us this spectacular film called Georgia. Do you remember Georgia?" I'm like, "It's just a short film." In my head, I was like, "It's just a short film." But then this person who's made like so many feature films, like huge films, are saying like he has respect for short films more than me, So yeah, so it's been a humbling experience. In now, I want to make short films, even with the feature film deal I have, and the series. I'm so excited. Like I have a new idea, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that. But I think I have a new love and appreciation for short films now.
yeah. Well, I'm excited because I can't wait to see some more short films from you. You sounds like you have this wonderful career opening up and blossoming for you. The squares are now kind of open and you're going out, which is so very exciting. I know that we're almost out of time. Is there anything else that you feel like you would want to ensure that the audience knows about your film, or something that you feel like you got out of the film that you didn't think that you were going to be getting out of it, other than all of these wonderful deals?
uh, I guess one thing I could say about the film is, I think you touched on it earlier, like uh, it's about the parents. A lot of the time, the film's about the actual event and the victim. But I think especially in Korea, in America, like it's now more mainstream, social justice. So there's a term, double victimization, because if you look closely, it's not why the daughter passed away wasn't due to the actual event only, it's because of the double victimization that happened afterwards. And I wanted to spotlight that a lot of the time it's, you have this terrible event happen, but then how society treats the person, or doesn't believe the person, that has a big negative effect on her. And also I wanted to show that even parents, like, we forget that it's just a victim, but we forget that there's the family, there's the friends, like everyone's traumatized. There's so many people that are traumatized, especially the parents. So I wanted to spotlight that as well.
And even the people who it seems like they may have been involved in the act,
Yeah.
when you were in that scene at the school, it looked like some of those people also, you could see the trauma and the pain that they were experiencing as well.
Yeah, Yeah, like the background actors did such a wonderful job. I mean, just to add like all of them, I don't know how we did it, but like because we wanted, because the smaller roles I felt always are more important, you know, like so even the smaller, all the people there were not just extras, they were actually like they were all actors, you know.
Mm.
So I got them from my through my father was a, you know, acting teacher, and so everyone were like, even one of them was like a regular in a Korean drama series. So it'd be funny like when people's like, is that the person from that playing a background actor, you know? uh, but yeah, we definitely you know, tried really hard with every single role, to be realistic and true, you know.
Well, again, it was one of the films that touched me a lot this year. It is up for one of the nominees for short films. So good luck on that.
Yay.
Thank you so much for being part of this Q&A. And I just can't wait to see what else you're gonna produce and show us. And please think about ARPA when your next film is ready to be shown in film festivals. We are celebrating our 25th year. And this year we have 80 films from about 27 countries. We are going to be having a 25th gala event on the 20th. And also, which will be an award ceremony as well. And viewers can watch this series of films along with Jayil's film for up until I think November 22nd, and it's free. So, you know, let everybody know to watch. There are a lot of great films here, including this one that we just talked about today. So thank you all the way from South Korea for joining us here in Los Angeles.
All right, thank you so much.
Everybody have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.